afternoon, and we welcome you once more to our coverage. This afternoon, we're here from the studios of VC3 Television to bring you live coverage of the state visit of His Excellency, the President of India, Sri Ramnath Kovind, and First Lady Savita Kovind, accompanied by their daughter, Swati. My name is Dion John, and this broadcast is coming to you on the National Broadcasting Corporation, VC3 Television, and the Agency for Public Information. I'm joined this afternoon by NBC's Colvin Harry. Colvin, good afternoon and welcome.
Well, good afternoon to you, and it's a pleasure to share again another of our stately duties as the National Broadcasting Corporation and our partners, VC3 Television, the Agency for Public Information. On this, the occasion of the state visit of the President of the Republic of India. Today, just moments ago, as a matter of fact, he arrived at the Argyle International Airport, and we'll have some scenes from that as well. The welcome ceremony taking place there at the Argyle International Airport. A packed agenda over the next few days, and we look forward to being there to be your eyes and your ears over the next couple of days to ensure that you have comprehensive coverage.
Colvin, this is also a very momentous occasion for you as a member of the National Indian Heritage Foundation, and I'm sure this visit means a lot to you. If you can just tell us how significant is this visit to St. Vincent for the Indian community, over the 700 Indian community in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Well, it is a symbolic occasion. This is the first visit by President or Prime Minister of India to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We've had other visits to others in terms of our regional neighbors, but it's the first visit by Indian head of state to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And it is indeed an exciting moment. It is a chance to make some connection with what I like to refer to as the motherland, being of Indian descent. And it's an opportunity for the over 6,000 Vincentians who claim Indian heritage to make that connection as well. And during the next couple of days, it should be quite an interesting time to learn about the Indian culture a bit more, and of course meet those who are at the helm in the Indian government.
Well, how do we get to this point? The President of India, His Excellency Sri Ramnath Kovind, he is a part of a Caribbean tour. He is coming to St. Vincent today. He left the Norman Manley International Airport and has just landed, as you said, at the Argyle International Airport. And very soon we'll show you the shots of the aircraft on ground. And there it is in the background. Colvin, the flight information is all yours.
Well, this is Air India One, that's what it's called, the equivalent of what you will call for Air Force One,
right.
US presidential plane.
So this is the official airline?
Yes, it is the official jet of the Indian government, transports the President, Prime Minister, Vice President, and today it's at the Argyle International Airport. Has a capacity of close to 400 by manufacturer, but today it is carrying just over 150 passengers with the President, his delegation, of course, members of the Indian media also on that flight. So pretty much it should be an interesting way to welcome a very large aircraft, a 777-300, to the Argyle International Airport this afternoon.
The President is accompanied this afternoon by his wife Savita and their daughter Swati, and they also have a son who is not here as part of this trip, but he has two children and has a very illustrious career in terms of the public service. And these are information that we will share with you as we go through. In your background, you will note the dignitaries who have all gathered at the Argyle International Airport, and pretty soon you will be seeing the lines and of course the introductions which will be made. If you remember our coverage of the royal visit which we had several weeks ago, where of course there was a receiving line and the President will meet with the officials, the Prime Minister, of course. Before that, he will be received by the Chief Protocol Officer, who is the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sandy Peters-Phillips, and then Sandy Peters-Phillips will introduce the President and the members of his immediate delegation to the Governor General, Her Excellency Dame Susan Duggan, and of course her husband Hugh Duggan. And from then on, The introductions will be made to Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, and then Prime Minister Gonsalves will introduce the members of Parliament who are gathered and as part of the receiving line as well to the President. But we're coming to you, and this is just the first of several days of official visit to the island, and we will be on the ball to share with you the activities and the visits. And what do we have in store for the week, Calvin?
Quite a packed program, as mentioned earlier on, Dion, starting today with this welcoming ceremony. Later on this evening, the President will have the opportunity to see the lovely views of the Leeward Coast as he gets a tour by sea as a cruise down the Leeward Coast. We'll have a coverage later on of that arrival at the cruise ship terminal as well for that event. Tomorrow, a very packed day in terms of events. There's the tree planting at the Botanic Gardens. First of all, the signing ceremony at Government House, the tree planting at the Botanic Gardens, and then onward to the remaining part of the program at the House of Assembly, where there'll be a special sitting, so we'll have coverage of that as well. In addition to that, the President on Friday will have a chance to see our beautiful Grenadine Islands. He'll be heading to Canawan with the Honourable Prime Minister for a private engagement there, and a cocktail reception on Friday evening. So a very packed program, and of course we'll be here every step of the way to ensure that you have full coverage wherever we're allowed to do so.
Well, just to let everyone know that this, of course, is a joint production of the Agency for Public Information, VC3 Television, and the National Broadcasting Corporation, as we've been doing over the last set of broadcasts. And while we await for the official proceedings to take place at the Argyle International Airport, just want to share with you some information in terms of basically setting the context for the exercise which takes place this afternoon and over the next couple of days. The capital of India, the Republic of India, of course, is New Delhi. And Republic Day is the 26th of January. They became a republic on the 26th of January 1950. Now, the population of India, in excess of 1.5 billion. I mean, you just think of how many times St. Vincent and the Grenadines can fit into that population size. The government is the federal parliamentary democratic republic style of government, and of course, the currency Indian rupee. And these are some of the things that we must know, because St. Vincent and the Grenadines enjoys diplomatic relations with the government and people of India. And these relations were established over 30 years ago.
Yes, in the mid-1980s, we established relations with India. And we've seen quite a number of responses from India and assistance over the years. Following the events of Thomas, I remember we had the Indian government providing assistance to us. Much recently, we had with COVID response, sending medical kits, etc. And of course, we can't forget the shipment of AstraZeneca vaccines that we received as part of the government of India's outreach. We were included in that, and that got the ball rolling for us in terms of the vaccination program. And that's just some of the benefits we've enjoyed as part of our diplomatic relationship with India over those years.
As I was reading as part of our preparation for this broadcast that the First Lady, one of the things she did during the outbreak of COVID is that in terms of assisting, she sewed masks, and she made masks and distributed. And speaking of masks, I could remember that we were fortunate as part of the Lions movement here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be in receipt of some masks coming out of India, another items which we were able to distribute to those persons who were in need, especially during the eruptions of the Lucifer volcano. Speaking of memorandum of associations, there will be a signing of several MOUs tomorrow, and we don't want to jump ahead and share all of these information with you just too early in the game, but that of course will take place as we see members of our team who are working behind the scenes at the airport, just ensuring that the things are in place and they're strategically positioned to get their first shots once the president alights from the airplane. The contingent of officers, both male and female, at the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, who will be forming the Guard of Honor They are already at the airport and are in position to receive the president once he alights from the aircraft, and we will share all of that to you. Hopefully we'll have some audio which we would be able to share with you. But the plane is on the ground, and we expect in just a short while that we will see the president and the members of his delegation just coming out, and definitely he would of course receive the royal salute, and all of that we'd be able to share with you. Very festive, very grand, and we welcome the Indian president to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, his wife, his daughter, and the other members of his delegation.
And it's a quite hazy day, I must observe.
Yes.
We were looking at the feed coming in a few moments ago, and it looked as though there was a bit of a rain threat, but it turns out it was just haze. It's a very hazy day. It's not a very blue sky you're looking at in the back. Quite a lot of haze, but still a good day, and it's quite warm, and I'm sure the president is quite accustomed to that. But it's a quite warm day here, and especially at the Argyle International Airport, as we see Air India 1 pulled up just in front of the terminal, and as we await the further movements. So just want to give you an idea as to what transpired while he was in Jamaica. As a matter of fact,
Yes.
just 2 countries as part of his visit, and Jamaica being the first on the 15th, and quite a number of activities there. He touched down on the 15th, similar setup. There was a 21-gun salute there, and he also met with members of the Indian diaspora at the Jamaica Pegasus, and that was a grand occasion. Saw some visuals there from a number of the Jamaican and Indian media outlets, and that was quite a festive time. Those of Indian descent, and particularly Indians who were based in Jamaica, got the opportunity to meet and interact with the president there. And he also paid a floral tribute to the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey. That was one of the highlights, and it was
Yes.
very well covered by both the local media in Jamaica and also the Indian media. And the joint sitting of Parliament, similar to what we'll be having tomorrow, was part of that. And there was a renaming of a street as well in Jamaica. One of the outstanding Indian ancestors who came through, and that process happened over the past few days. Now, visit has ended, and he's on to the next stop, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, already underground. And from here, we do our ceremonial duties for the next couple of days.
Well, you note the significance and the difference in the number of people of Indian descent in Jamaica. I noticed the numbers in excess of 700,000.
Yes.
And as opposed to St. Vincent, where the numbers border around 600
Just over 6,000.
to
Just over 6,000
yes,
identified.
in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So when we say that in terms of the concentration, where the people in St. Vincent who identify as Indian descendants are, I call that comes to mind. Where are some
Yes.
of the other communities?
There's actually a list of some of the areas where you would find most of those who are of Indian origin, particularly, yes, Calder being one of those, and hence the reason why the renaming will take place there in terms of the road. But primarily you have places on the windward and on the leeward side of the island, especially in, I'll go first on the windward side. You have Calder, you have Acres, Richton Park, can't forget Richton Park, Park Hill, Georgetown, and on the leeward side, Rosebank. Those are some of the communities where you'd find most of the individuals of Indian descent. There are a lot of Indians who lived on the Argyle estate, and many
Right.
of those later moved to places like Calder and Acres. So the concentration is really in that area, and I've mentioned Richland Park as well. But they're now spread far and wide, and those are just some of the areas where you'll find people of Indian origin still residing today.
The significance of the renaming of the portion of road which will be done tomorrow. You've, of course, the Indian Association here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. No doubt you have been involved and intimately involved in the final selection of what takes place during the time of the president's visit to the island. If you can just let us into some of the discussions as it relates to the renaming of that portion of road.
Okay, so while I may not be able to give all of the details,
No,
because I may
I
not
don't
be privy
expect
to all
you.
of the details,
Right.
I can tell you that there were meetings that were held. The Indian ambassador, who is based in Suriname, who's actually on the ground, saw him in the shot a few minutes ago. The resident ambassador based in Suriname, who serves the smaller islands inclusive of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He had several meetings during his last recent visits. particularly with those in Calder, about some of these proposals. And there was exchanges in terms of there were some exchanges in terms of the possibilities for the naming, and then the final decision was taken to name it India Drive, in remembrance of those, or in recognition of those of the Indian community who reside in that, who are concentrated in that general area. So that's pretty much the long and short of it.
And an invitation is particularly extended for the community of Calder and other persons who want to get close enough, because I do believe that might just be one of the only time during the course of the visit that they will get to meet and to get close enough to the Indian president and to his wife, and also to his daughter who's traveling as part of the team. Yes,
and there'll be the opportunity there, but of course the security measures will be in place.
Yes.
In addition to the COVID protocols will be in place for the safety of everyone. So it's an opportunity to get up close. I'm not sure how close you'll be able to get, but I did hear persons in the community saying that they should get there early because of the fact that there'll be a lot of vehicles in the area. There'll be others as part of the delegation. We can't forget the Indian media, quite a large contingent from the Indian media who will be trying to get their perfect shot and their perfect video footage to send home and to post online. So all of that we have to keep in mind. And for those from the community who will be going to witness that event tomorrow, the best bet is that you be there as early as possible to avoid any sort of congestion or the possibility of you not being able to get past whatever barriers are there.
I think this morning in Prime Minister Gonsalves' presentation on radio, he spoke about the significance of this visit to St. Vincent, and I think he sort of captured that in the ambits of the fact that there are larger Indian communities around St. Vincent in the sense of Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana. Those are three of the larger countries within our part of the world.
Far greater population.
Yes, and it's historic and it's significant that the president and his delegation is in St. Vincent, Jamaica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines were chosen. I think if my memory serves me right, Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Ralph Gonsalves and a delegation from St. Vincent visited India in 2015, I believe.
2019, actually.
2019.
Yes, in September of 2019.
Right, September of 2019. And he was well received, and Prime Minister Gonsalves did speak extensively of how he was very much welcomed by Modi and all the other officials and in India, and have very, very strong recollections of that visit in particular.
Indeed, and during that time he also hosted a very important COP14. I was part of that event as well in September, the 9th and 10th of September in 2019. And 3 MOUs were signed while he was in India on that trip, very important as it relates to issues of climate change and the areas which India and the St. Vincent and the Grenadines share common grounds with, of course. And we can't forget the support at the United Nations level, where India has been very supportive of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and likewise St. Vincent and the Grenadines supportive of India in different areas in terms of cooperation.
Well, if you think if you think that for a bit that you don't understand all of this, I think one thing is definitely going to unite both countries, and we speak about cricket.
Yes.
Where else there's cricket? There's cricket. Cricket is a big thing in India. All you've got to do is look at the all of the competitions in terms of the Indian cricket team. I almost said VPL. VPL is stuck in my mind, but the Indian Premier League. And I just raised that to say that on Friday, one of the things that will happen at the cocktail, which takes place on Friday, which we are not going to really be bringing live coverage or live visuals on that, is that there will be the presentation of equipment to the local cricket association, and I understand that the support also extends to the umpires as well. And that is definitely a great thing. Cricket is also a big thing here in St. Vincent, not as big as it is in India. For many reasons. We don't have the size in terms of the population, what have you. But cricket is a big thing, and Vincentians love cricket. And that is definitely something that we can all relate to.
Indeed, and as mentioned, that event is one that is being looked forward to, especially by those of the Cricket Association and local cricket fraternity. The equipment being handed over primarily for the younger players in the game. These are not really for the adults, but for the youngsters who are learning the game, and all of the different bits and pieces that you need to protect from all the different aspects of cricket. Those are included in that handover. And I understand the equipment will be media-related equipment to the umpires to assist in, the more digital side of their job as
things
umpires.
like being able to judge with a run out and stuff like that.
Correct. So you and a digital platform for the umpires to use in the process of conducting their duties as well. So all of that being a big part of the president's visit here this week. 3 days. We were initially told 4 days, but
yes.
It ends on Friday evening with a cocktail. But in case you're joining us, we're still awaiting the president to alight from the aircraft. To see that the plane is there. I see in the back there's another.
Well, I think there's members of the media.
I think that's the media leaving the plane in the back. Of course, they would want to get in place to have their shots
Correct.
as well. So they're probably already with their equipment. I see tripods moving, so that that's the media moving there, and no doubt the president's trip will be well documented. I've seen
from both ends,
yes. From local media and also from the visiting media as well.
Well, we were told as part of the planning there are in excess of about 6 buses or so for the media, and that says a lot. I think that says a lot. And speaking of buses, yes, and speaking of buses, when we in our travels down, we saw that buses of police officers,
yes.
we were seeing making their way towards the windward side of the country, where it is expected that they will stand at the various junctions to ensure that once the convoy of vehicles is on its way with the president, that there will be no interruptions from all these junctions, as in keeping with the other official visits by presidents, royal members of the royal family, and what have you. So we expect to see all of that. Now, India is a big country, and so in terms of the textile industry in India, pharmaceutical industry, things like iron and steel, food processing, I'm sure we've heard all of these things. Let's see again. There's cement and there's software, chemicals, petroleum products, of course, precious stones, textile. Textile is a big thing, huge thing in India.
IT, you mentioned software. There's also the hardware aspect, because India is driven by a lot of information technology, hardware and software. And what we've known is quite a number of Indians are head of very large organizations, some of them that we utilize their services all the time. Google, the Alphabet company, all of these companies are headed by Indians, and those who were prepared laid the foundation in India. So we know that they're very rich in the IT area of things. We see there's still members of the delegation leaving the aircraft at the back. We did mention that it's well over 150. We do not have the exact number, but we were told well over 150, inclusive of the visiting media. Close to 50 media practitioners on this flight, which includes ANI, DD India, all of these media entities, or very large media outlets in India who are here with their reporters as well. So that will take some time, and as soon as they're in place, I suppose we should see the president and the First Lady.
India also shares a very outstanding relationship with CARICOM. And in 2019, the Prime Minister of India met with the 14 leaders of CARICOM on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. And you alluded to this earlier on, of course, the importance and the important role they play when St. Vincent and the Grenadines was trying to get on to the Security Council of the United Nations. And that is not something that we need to go through, because that's well established. The government of India and the CARICOM Development Fund, that's the CDV, signed a contribution agreement on Saturday, January 9th of 2019 in Paramaribo, Suriname, which provides for a grant allocation of US $1 million to CDF's capital fund. And through that, India became the latest development partner to have established formal ties with the CDF during its second contribution and subvention cycle, which ran from 2015 to 2020. 2020 it is. So there exists a standing relationship between India and CARICOM as well. And no doubt you would realize now the president traveling to Jamaica and from Jamaica coming to St. Vincent. And I think as well Prime Minister Modi is also traveling.
He's actually
traveling as well with other duties. And this is important. This is the first time that the Indian Prime Minister or an Indian President of any kind is actually coming to this part of the world, coming to St. Vincent on the whole.
And also Jamaica.
So we also need to recognize and celebrate the significance, and something that you would write down in your calendars as you write things that are noteworthy. And this is definitely something that is noteworthy. What are you looking forward to most?
Well, I'm looking forward to the interaction and to hear how India is going to be a great partner to us in terms of support. I know there are a couple of MOUs which will be signed tomorrow, which we won't be able to reveal the details of. But from what I understand, those will be to greater benefit of both countries. And what I look forward to is a greater cooperation between the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and that of the government of India. And through this visit, we're able to make that deeper connection, to be able to understand the cultures of both St. Vincent and the Grenadines and of India.
Oh, I wanted to go through our notes, because I want us to go through together some of the projects in terms of the direct funding which have taken place. We're actually looking at the funding which have taken place over the years. And I note that in Port Elizabeth, the Beckwith Market repairs and the restoration projects, and that costing approximately US $30,000. And that project, thankfully, is complete. And there are some others, and we would share that with you. Just let me know when you have that document on your iPad.
Yeah,
yes.
Technology.
Technology it is.
Technology.
And so then you can probably continue from the community development as we go through them one by one.
All right. So you mentioned the Port Elizabeth Beckwith Market repairs and restoration project.
Calvin, let's just.
I see Ambassador Balan Chan, who is based in Suriname, here
Yes.
for that event. He is moving to the aircraft, and I suspect that indicates that His Excellency the President will be appearing momentarily.
And he's also accompanied by the Chief of Protocol, the Permanent Secretary, Sandy Peters Phillips. And we recognize the ADC to the Governor General, Philip Cambridge, Captain Philip Cambridge, and Her Excellency Dame Susan Duggan. And the Director of Foreign Policy, Mozart Carr, and the STU pupils. We just await to see that bouquets will be presented, and we assume that will take place at the foot of the aircraft once they disembark.
Yes, and we also, as the President arrives, he's also being joined by his wife, we mentioned.
Yes.
The First Lady of India, who has other engagements while she is here, and we'll hear about those in our continued coverage, and also his daughter Swati, who is with them on this journey as well. But two students with some lovely bouquets.
Yes.
And they'll be presenting them, I suspect, to the President and First Lady respectively as a welcome. We saw this just not too long ago, a few weeks ago, on the occasion of the royal visit, where a bouquet was presented to the Prince Edward on his arrival. And quite similar, the guard of honor is customary on an occasion like this. And I see Ambassador Balan Chan is moving up now, I believe, to greet His Excellency the President as he gets ready to disembark with his wife and daughter. Very warm day.
Yes, it is.
I'm not sure if it'll be a surprise when they step out of the aircraft, and it's very, very warm on the outside. In the distance, I can see the Honorable Prime Minister and Mrs. Gonzalez, who is awaiting on the other end of the red carpet. And the members of Parliament are there as well. It's a far shot.
The Judge Cottle and his wife as well.
Yes, I see in the distance as well the
leader
Honourable Leader of the Opposition. And
okay, thank you
yes,
very much.
thank
Our
you very
crew
much,
is going in
cameraman.
closely. Thank you.
Yes, so we have, yes, I see Justice Cottle is there. We mentioned the leader of the opposition, on ministers, Honorable Frederick Stevenson, the Honorable Camilla Gonzalez, Carlos James, Honorable Carlos James, and the Honorable Curtis King. Also, Julian Francis, yes. Sometimes the master to present a challenge, but I could recognize.
I think that's Senator
Otherwise, Senator
Kissel
Bala,
Peters.
Senator Peters.
Senator Bala.
Yes.
I believe that's.
Major Sinclair Leacock is there, the Honorable Sinclair Leacock. And Speaker of the OECS House of Assembly, Honorable Rainey Batiste, is also in that receiving line as well. And Permanent Secretary is there as well, Permanent Secretary in the Prime Minister's office. She's also in the receiving line there, as we have an alternate shot of the advanced team moving forward, I should say, advanced team. Yes. In receiving the president. We attempted to get a closer shot. Hopefully we'll be able to, as we have now, what we're looking at is a member of the team who arrived on the aircraft interacting with the ambassador out of Suriname, who was responsible on the ground for this visit, coordinating the visit. He's been here for the last couple of weeks, putting things in place on the background. And today it's all about the execution of it, along with Foreign Affairs, or Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So with that combination, we expect a smooth flow of things for the duration of this visit.
One of the things that you pray for when you have events like these is good weather, and so far we've had that, and one anticipates that everything will go according to plan in terms of the protocol arrangements. And we have the immediate reception, line of reception, just at the foot of the aircraft. And once the president alights, we will have a bit more focus on the president as he comes down and steps for the very first time on Vincentian soil. And we certainly look forward to that. So what do we expect to see at the Argyle International Airport this afternoon? The Royal Salute, the national anthem of the Republic of India, the national anthem of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the inspection of the Guard of Honor, and this will be done by the president, and who is of course the head of the parade troop on the ground as well, as it will go through. Generally, once they're reporting, you would say things like how many officers are on parade, and we welcome you to St. Vincent. Then you'll have the inspection of the guard, as I mentioned, the final royal salute, and His Excellency will then move on to greet the dignitaries of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And in the receiving line for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we would expect to see Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, the Chief Justice, the Speaker of the House of Assembly. Then we'll also have the Leader of the Opposition, members of Cabinet and Parliament, the Commissioner of Police, the Cabinet Secretary, and members of the Diplomatic Corps. Also in hand here at the Argyle International Airport are members of the Indian Association in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and members of the Indian community who have been invited to the airport, and no doubt members of the National Indian Heritage Foundation who are also have been invited to the airport to be a part of this occasion.
Yes, the president of the foundation, Mr. Junior Bacchus, is one of those who will be expected to represent, and also the Vice President, Dave Batiste, was also part of that ceremony. It called it tomorrow, so they'll be the most prominent ones. Of course, I have my duties to take care of in terms of bringing you all of what is happening.
We all have that responsibility.
We have individual responsibilities. I'm here with you. But I think from what we see on paper in terms of the events that will take place, it'd be quite an experience for the president and his wife, experiencing a lot of our, Vincentian food as well. Quite different, I would suspect, and they'll have an opportunity to do so over the next coming days. Private opportunities to have dinner as well at the hotel and try some of our Vincentian foods there. So all part of the experience.
You think there will be lots of Indian food in abundance?
I suspect there will be, but I think the opportunity is there for them to, experience some of the breadfruit and saltfish and some of the Vincentian delicacies along the way, and we expect that will be factored into the whole experience as they're on the ground.
Well, when it comes to food, you're the expert. That's not my expertise at all. You're definitely the expert on that one. So we continue while we keep our eyes on what is happening on the ground at the Argyle International Airport. We continue to tell you in terms of some of the areas of funding and collaboration. So we're now looking at the Generation Next Incorporated, which seeks to rehabilitate and transform the derelict Chateaubalais Agricultural Depot into a processing and training facility. The estimated cost of that project is $110,000, and so far, in terms of an update, this project received 75% of the funding in November of 2020.
I'm not sure if you mentioned the Glenside project. If you did, I may have missed it earlier.
Let's see. Oh no, we missed that one. That's the
Glenside project in Marroquin. For those who drive through the Yambu area, you'll notice that there's some construction going on in that region. And there's a project there that is ongoing in terms of the development of a hard court, and that is in progress. I'm not sure if it's quite finished as yet, but that is all part of the government of India's assistance to St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the area of sports. So it's not just cricket, but it's far broader than their involvement in cricket. The refurbishment of the Calder Community Centre is also one of those areas, proof of funding under quick impacts. And that project, just over $40,000 expected to be on the agenda as well. Negotiations are still ongoing with that, but that's in the pipeline as one of the projects to be undertaken shortly.
And there's also been some assistance in the field of arrowroot. And we know that the arrowroot industry had some damage as a result of the eruptions of the La Soufrière volcano. But there has been some areas of collaboration and support as it relates to the arrowroot industry. And there is an arrowroot project which fosters partnership in terms of the developing countries and a strong commitment to multilateral cooperation. And this, of course, is done funding in association with the UN Office for South-South Cooperation on the 8th of June of 2017.
Yes, I just a minute or so ago saw the daughter of the President and the First Lady disembark. So she's there along the line awaiting them as well for the greeting. Just a few seconds ago we observed
and
that.
That's daughter Swati.
Swati,
yes.
Swati, who is accompanying them on this trip. The President, who you can see now disembarking with his wife, is about to greet those gathered on the red carpet as we take care of the ceremonial aspect of this official visit, the welcome ceremony, and the first greetings being exchanged with Her Excellency the Governor General Dame Susan Duggan, and momentarily his wife will be joining him to greet those who are gathered.
And the First Lady has made her way down and is also meeting and has been presented with a bouquet from the pupil. And Her Excellency is now taking the President up the walk of the red carpet, and the next stop, no doubt, will be to the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, where the series of introductions will take place in terms of the members of his cabinet and members of Parliament, and some discussions are being held as they walk up the red carpet, and no doubt that's lovely.
Indeed, and Her Excellency now invited him to the salute and days, and I believe shortly we'll have the ceremonial salute, and if we can get the audio, that will be lovely.
Yes,
I suspect
so
we'll hear
we're
the
asking the
anthems as
guys
well.
to bring up the audio, so we have the royal salute.
So we have the royal salute taking place. So for those who are just joining us, what we're looking at is live footage from the Argyle International Airport on the occasion of the visit, a state visit by His Excellency Sri Ramnath Kovind, the President of the Republic of India. And what we have now is the inspection of the guards that's taken place at this point in time. We just had a while ago the Royal Salute and the National Anthem of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. There'll be another salute at the end of this inspection of the Guard of Honor, and following that, His Excellency will greet the dignitaries who are gathered at the Argyle International Airport for this occasion. Quite a number of officials are there, inclusive of the Honourable Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, other members of Parliament, as we witness His Excellency President Kovind is back at the saluting dais, and the police band of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force allows for the final salute to take place. President Kovind is flanked on his left by Her Excellency the Governor General Dame Susan Duggan, and on the right by a senior rank of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. The command being given this afternoon to the Guard of Honor. We can hear in the back that command being given by the parade commander. And the next item is for the introduction to the officials. His Excellency President Kovind and First Lady Kovind shortly will greet those who are gathered at the Argyle International Airport. As mentioned, very hazy afternoon. It's a very hazy and windy afternoon, and we do apologize for the audio quality that we're getting out of the Argyle International Airport. A very windy afternoon as well, and certainly affecting our audio feed originating from the Argyle International Airport. But nevertheless, a very warm day, certainly better than rain, to have a breezy yet warm afternoon for the reception of the President. As we see the final salute taking place, that's what is happening now. I'm not getting a very clear audio as to what is being played at the moment, but it appears there's a rendition taking place by the police band, as we can hear distantly. The welcome party on the red carpet this afternoon, Dr. the Honourable Ralph Gonzalez, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Chief Justice. In addition to those individuals, there's also the Honourable Rochelle Ford, who's the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honourable Dr. Godwin Friday, who is the Leader of the Opposition. I believe that's the national anthem, so we'll try to get that audio for you. So, as we continue with coverage of the state visit of His Excellency Sri Ramnath Kovind at the Argyle International Airport, that's the visuals we're getting now as His Excellency the President is being introduced to the wife of the Prime Minister, Mrs. Eloise Gonzalez, just moments ago by the Honourable Prime Minister, and now the Prime Minister will go down the line, as we saw earlier, and officially introduce His Excellency to the dignitaries gathered this afternoon.
And the introductions are now being made to the wife of the Chief Justice, Mrs. Maxine Glasgow Cottle, the leader of the opposition, Dr. the Honourable Godwin Friday. The Attorney General is now being introduced, and the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Montgomery Daniel. As we see, our shot has been now inundated with members of the media standing in the shot. I believe this is the Honourable Minister of Tourism,
yes, Carlos
James, and then the Minister of Education, Dr. Randy Brewster,
yes.
it appears,
yes,
and
it
Senator
is.
the Honourable Julian Francis, the Minister of Tourism, Senator
Bala is there as well.
Yes.
And the Honourable Terence Oliver.
And that looks like
Major Sinclair Leacock, the Honourable Sinclair Leacock, being the final current MP who's greeting on the red carpet. Following that, I see the Speaker of the OECS House of Assembly, the Honourable Benny Batiste, who just greeted His Excellency, and now the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Ambassador Balanchandra from Suriname, is also exchanging greetings with His Excellency the President and his wife, and they're accompanied by the daughter, Swati, as well, who's trailing just behind First Lady. If you look to a shot, you'll see the young lady who's just behind the First Lady. That's the daughter of the President and the First Lady. Bit of a chat between His Excellency and the Prime Minister as they move closer to the terminal building. Of course, this is just the first part of the coverage we're looking at the moment, and there are numerous opportunities for the media to get their shots as well, their photographs and their video footage, and no doubt at some points we'll get a bit obscured with our video. But
is the Indian flag?
Yes, the Indian flag is fluttering
in the background.
On the quite a gentle breeze blowing across now, a refreshing breeze, I should say.
I must admit, it's warm. A lot cooler now.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Not when we got here.
It's not. It's a lot cooler on the outside now than it were when we were coming in. As they on the outside, you would see students on the outside who will greet the president and the members of his delegation. And the members of the Indian side, in terms of the line here, as you mentioned, the Indian High Commissioner, the wife of the spouse of the High Commissioner, and the senior officials in the Indian delegation. And so there are students and teachers who are on the land side who we will meet. And when we say land side, that's the view that you're seeing now on the screen, and that's where he will get to do some interaction with the younger minds.
Yes.
The young students, no doubt there will be guides and girl guides and scouts and brownies and the usual. So we await the shots of that, and we anticipate we'll see that shortly, and we'll share that with you. Schools in the immediate environs, I believe the Argyle Primary School would be there, and they called a primary and schools that are closest in that vicinity. And we from the bio, we see that their First Lady has, works well with children and has a close affiliation to youth organizations. Yes. And no doubt her love and interest will take her to tomorrow, the School for Children with Special Needs. And you see her paying particular and taking keen interest in meeting the children who are on the land side, who she's being introduced to this afternoon.
Yes. And what we're looking at is basically the final part of this particular welcome ceremony. We see some young panists now rendering some music on pan, and that would be quite a welcome to hear the sweet sound of pan. Maybe not something familiar, quite different, and it's all part of the experience of some of our music, and getting that experience of Vincentian culture as well. But this ceremony will then lead into the other event this afternoon, which we'll be back with to give you some visuals and, of course, the descriptions as well, so we could get some coverage across to you. I see now a photo op. Just got distracted there for a moment as looking at the visuals. Just a photo op I see now with the students, the Honorable Prime Minister.
Gives you bragging rights, no
His
doubt.
Excellency the President. And I'm not certain the other gentleman to the Prime Minister's left, but I do know that in that shot as well is the wife of His Excellency and the daughter of His Excellency. And no doubt something that they can, frame and put somewhere, that they were there as part of the official visit, the first visit of a leader of India, be it Prime Minister or President. In this case, is the President. And looking at the visuals, I see now that the party is just about to move to their transport. I suspect that will be quite a long line with 150 plus individuals part of this convoy. The President will, of course, have an opportunity to just rest for a bit before the next portion of his trip today, which is should be a bit more relaxing than the meet and greet as a trip down the Leeward Coast on a cruise to enjoy the scenery of the Leeward Coast in the late afternoon, evening, along with government officials, other members of the local Indian community, and members of the delegation. I'm sure will also enjoy that experience down the Leeward Coast later on. We,
of course, will bring that part of the afternoon's proceedings live as well.
Cruise terminal.
Yes, we will try to. Our intention is to get a drone up and to bring you some shot as the convoy makes its way at least into the central business district. Kingstown, once the wind affords us the opportunity to do that. It is quite windy, and we know that there will be some restrictions in terms of flying the drone and ensuring that we get some proper shots to share with you. But once we're able to do that, we will definitely share that with you. And the next destination from here on is at the cruise ship terminal, where they're expected to go. I believe that there will be 2 catamarans, and they will be making a trip down to the leeward end of the country. And how far are they going?
I believe they're ending at Chatterbalay. I don't have that the itinerary there, and even so, I don't think I'm able to reveal all of that. But I can tell you that they're going all the way down the Leeward Coast, and there will be a few stops along the way, some highlights along the way that they will particularly want the President to have a look at. And see, they're just making a U-turn. I think the Honourable Prime Minister wants to draw some attention to the steel
orchestra.
And I see the President is clapping because he's certainly seeing something different.
It would be interesting to find out what they're playing. So guys, if you're able to get the audio, that would be, that will definitely be the cream. Oh yes, there it is.
Tears on My Pillow, that's it.
Yes, it is.
Tears on My Pillow.
Yeah. Alvin, you're almost good.
Almost. Yes. And that's a very lovely track, by the way, and always appropriate for an event as this, a very formal event. And I see the President gave the thumbs up a while ago, a universal symbol of approval, the thumbs up.
Yeah.
He enjoyed that, certainly. as we witness now the convoy about to move, what is expected to be a very long line of vehicles, I would just add, down the Windward Highway.
Yes, I did
So for
see
those
in
who are dealing with
excess
the
of
traffic this afternoon,
in excess of 20 coming
Wow.
towards me earlier on when I was on
That
the
was just
move
one
somewhere,
group.
and that was just
One
one.
group.
Those were just the official vehicles.
wow.
That didn't include the set.
For the
that,
media.
Yes, that
The other
you know,
6 for
yes,
the media.
yes, that didn't include
And then the
those.
other 20 for the delegation.
Yes.
Yes.
So it would be nice to capture that on drone shot coming into Kingstown once
should
they're
be
definitely on the move. So we're going to try our very level best to see if we can have that for you.
Wind permitting, of course.
Yes, and I'm not too sure how far out our team would allow us to go in terms of the actual coverage of this leg of the convoy. From here, they're going to go to their hotel where they'll retire, get probably just a
About
little,
an hour or so.
just a little, be
Refresh.
refreshed for a bit, and then we will definitely resume and be back here with you when we will show you the next part of the journey, which takes them to the cruise ship terminal, where they will be met by officials from the Ministry of Tourism and the other ministers who will be traveling down, no doubt giving them tidbits of information. I believe that some music as well will be on those catamaran, Calvin.
I suspect that will be all
And,
part
and
of
I'm
the
sorry,
experience.
and I'm sorry we're denying you the right to go on the
Oh, well, I
catamaran
was
because
invited,
you
but,
were
you know.
invited to go on the catamaran.
But I'll be here.
Right.
And I'll be looking at it
Yes.
departing.
Yes. You know, there's still hope. You know, you can go. You
yeah.
can go.
I can ride on the drone and have a,
Okay, you can go. That's all I'm going to say. You can go, but I'm not too sure how you going is going to work to your advantage. So I
Well,
think you're safer here.
Yeah, I'm safe.
Yes. I'm keeping you safe here. I can tell you that. So we see the children of St. Vincent and the Grenadines continue to wave the flags of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Republic of India. Our beautiful children. I love to see our children, such wonderful
there you go,
children. Oh,
waving
look
for
at
the
them.
camera.
They're
Oh.
waving for us. They're waving for us as our camera guys get very up and close and personal with them. Unfortunately, we do not have eyes on the convoy just as yet. And I think what we basically
did see
want
them
to
moving a
do,
while ago,
yes.
so.
And that's going to be a very long
Yes, it
convoy
is.
as they travel
It is.
into. They get as far as Villa, where they'll be in terms of their hotel, where they refresh, and then leave the hotel again and join. We'll have her joining us again shortly, about after 3 minutes, closer to minutes to 4, and we will have some coverage there. So I think it's a good time for us to probably conclude this part
This
of the
segment.
broadcast, and then we would come back at that particular point. What do you think?
Yes, it's an opportune time for us, and of course, it's an opportunity for our other stakeholders to do their other commitments as well, because we do have other commitments in between our broadcasts. We resume at approximately 4:30. Where we'll look at...
Or just before that, just a little bit
4:30,
before that.
as we have the convoy moving back into Kingstown to the cruise terminal for the cruise down the leeward coast. And we'll have some footage there for you, hopefully, weather permitting, wind permitting, I should say. Some drone footage as well of what is happening, the movement of the convoy, and should be quite interesting to see how long that convoy is.
Yes,
with the
I
amount
look
of vehicles
forward.
that
I
we're
think
seeing.
this is what I'm most excited about.
So we'll get to see that from the a very capable pilot here at VC3 would ensure that we have a visual of it. Well, there we go. We see the convoy leaving now the Argyle International Airport as we conclude our coverage for this leg. The vehicles, of course, some of them flying the flag of India, those carrying the delegation.
I do believe that particular one wearing bearing the flag is
the
where the
president.
president is riding, as the two flags representing a symbol of collaboration and from since the early 1980s, sharing in excess of 30 years of collaboration and diplomatic relations. They sway in the background as the official vehicles, now one after the other, make their way safely into Kingstown, where, well, not Kingstown immediately, but of course to a stop to the hotel. And no doubt there are a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes which we would never be able to capture.
Yes.
Things
Some things are
like the
private, of course.
security and, of course, putting things in place at the various stops which they're expected to make over the next couple of days, making sure that things are in place and everything is in order. You see, when it comes to diplomatic relations, while I'm not, I'm not an expert, there are definitely some things that you can't take for granted, because this rests on the importance and the significance of the relationship between the two countries, and you can't afford to miss a step.
Oh. And as we conclude this segment, and we would want to add, I want to add, of course, that outside of the 30 plus years of diplomatic relations, we've also had 161 years of bloodline connection through the Indian indentured laborers who arrived here in the mid to late 1800s, over a 20-year period. And to this day, we have those who descended from that grouping that arrived during that time frame, still part of the Vincentian Society, part and parcel of the Vincentian Society today.
And one remembers the reenactment which was done a couple of years ago at the Indian Baby.
It's done every year,
that?
actually,
It's actually yearly? Okay,
yes,
okay.
on June 1st.
So tell us about that.
Well, it's a reenactment of the arrival,
right?
A sort of a symbolic moment where the first boats arrived and the indentured laborers were registered. So there's someone of a European appearance who's on the beach who receives the indentured workers. Some of them are unable to sign their names, of course, and they might use a fingerprint, and all of that is reproduced through that reenactment. And they're given names, whether they're from a particular part of northern India or their surname, whatever they say is written down as their name. And that has contributed to some of the names, in our case, being lost permanently in terms of the Indian names. Many of those were lost through translation. And that reenactment is a really good thing to look at. And it'll be happening again on June 1st at Villa Beach. And that's an invitation for those who wish to witness this in person to see that reenactment taking place.
And June 1st is celebrated as Indian Arrival Day.
Yes.
Is Harry an Indian surname?
From all research, no, it's not. No, it's not. It was given through I'm looking for the term, but it was through the church.
Right.
I should just simplify it as through the church. My foreparents joined the established churches, and to be able to take advantage of the education system and all that was on offer there, the decision had to be made to change to something that is, far more relatable. There were already those carrying the Harry surname, and Harry hence became my surname and that of my great-grandparents. I was told initially my great-grandparents' surnames were B. Harry Singh and something similar to that. There was a Singh somewhere along the line, but it's still not very clear. It's gotten lost in translation over the years. But I think it is an opportune time for us to wrap up. Of course, we have so much more we can talk about, and we'll have the next 2 days, especially later today and tomorrow, quite an extensive coverage ahead tomorrow to talk about all of that.
Well, let me thank all our viewers on VC3 television, those who viewed via the various social media platforms, listeners to the National Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Dion John, and you are?
Calvin Harry.
We'll see you just shortly, just after 3 o'clock. Thank you so much, and have a good afternoon until we come back to you again.